Zombie apocalypse.
Hi, welcome to another stream, another miniature painting video. Just want to make sure that everything's set up properly, which it appears it is. So, last we left off, we were painting this guy. Just want to make sure that everything is being shown here on camera, and I need to wipe some. Let's see, because that's no bueno. We're painting this guy, double-headed, sort of giant kind of man, Ettin, from the Critical Role's unpainted line of minis from WizKids. And what we did on the last mini painting video was base coat the entire miniature and then apply our washes. That was the last thing that we did, and so today we're gonna be focusing on highlighting. And to me, and the reason why I wanted to do this stream and video in the first place, because I want to learn how to properly highlight some of these surfaces rather than relying on the quick and dirty dry brush, which we are going to be using a little bit of in this video. But I really want to learn how to do like smooth transitions between midtones or dark midtones and then highlights. And you know, just trying to get a feel for how to do that properly. I did a while back, this wasn't on video, well, I mean, I did kind of like a speed painting video, but it wasn't like a long format video like this one. I painted the, I think it was the Storm Giant from WizKids, also unpainted miniature, null source, and I was, you know, playing around with highlighting like the muscles and that kind of stuff, and some of it turned out well, some of it didn't. I'm looking at it right now, that's why I'm like staring off in the distance. It's right there on the shelf, but I can't really reach it right now. Maybe I'll grab it. Let me see. So this guy right here. So I painted this guy a while back, and right here in like the muscle area, that pit is very dark. I don't remember that. There's a pool of wash. That's what you want to avoid when you're washing your miniature. You want to avoid pools like that. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Like those pools of wash right there. You want to avoid that as much as possible. But here, because he has like so much muscle and stuff, I was trying to like play around with different levels of highlights and trying to blend them together. And in some cases I feel it looks fine, but in some others, like on this side for example, it looks very blocky. Like you can very clearly see the distinction between one layer and the next. So I really want to try my hand at better layering techniques. I did some research before I even decided to start streaming, like days ago, and I forgot most of it, so we're just gonna go by memory and try to make something out of this. What I think is the most important thing when you're layering and trying to come up with smooth transitions, whether you're wet blending or feathering or layering or whatever, is to use very thin coats of paint. Like try to mix your paints with water, that way they're a bit more translucent than the layer that comes before that. So essentially we're gonna be going from light to dark, from dark to light. In this case, that's why we that's why I feel like this might be a good brush for this. Maybe. Yeah. What was I saying? We're going from dark to light. That's why we apply washes first. And then if we need to go back to like a darker color, we can try that. But essentially what we're gonna do is the first step we're gonna try is go back to our base color, and we're gonna start with the skin, because I feel like that's gonna be the most challenging part, because it's where we got most stuff, because most of the miniature is just gonna be the skin. So this skin color has been darkened down a lot by the wash. So we're gonna try to bring back the original color with the original skin tone. We're gonna use a bit of water to dilute the paint. And once we're back to that base coat color, then once we're back with that, then we're gonna be adding lighter and lighter layers of that base color. So when we're adding the base coat and the highlights, we want to try to imagine where the light is going to be hitting this miniature. Here I'm going for like a forward upper, like the light is hitting from above but also from the front. So we have to try to imagine which areas of the miniature are going to be the most highlighted, and that's sometimes hard to do for me, but we're gonna try our best. That's the best thing we can do. So again, I'm going with the original base coat color. I'm not mixing anything, only water, and I'm going to just go for some of this muscle area, trying to imagine where light is gonna be hitting. I don't want to cover the entire surface, because when you're highlighting, the whole idea is to have light up against darkness. So I'm gonna be highlighting most of it. I'm gonna be painting most of this area, but I want to leave the deepest recesses dark. So I'm being very careful as to where I am putting paint. I'm gonna go for this kind of area over here. Now, acrylic paints, they tend to dry very transparent, so that's what we have to take advantage of to make a smoother transition, and that's what I'm trying to learn here. And the more diluted the paint is when you're applying it to the miniature, then the more diluted is going, the more transparent, sorry, is going to dry, trying to get that smooth transition. And I'm essentially highlighting every individual muscle And just essentially making like circles of light around these muscle groups, like so. Now, at first, it might look like a little weird because there's a lot of contrast. But as we start layering on more and more layers of highlight, then it'll hopefully look a bit better. I'm trying to decide what to do with this area right here. Let me try to get some paint out of there. Now, when we're adding highlights, we definitely want to err more on the side of less than the side of more. We want to take our time and build subtle layers rather than just slapping a lot of paint onto the miniature. And that's what this technique is. It's just layering. That's what we're going to be doing, is just layer different tones of the same color on top of each other. To give the illusion of light. There are other methods of highlighting, like wet blending, and feathering. Well, I guess that's not really methods of highlighting, it's more techniques that you can use while highlighting. And the most famous for its effectiveness and speed, let's say, definitely has to be dry brushing, which we're gonna be doing a little bit once we get to the barrel. We're gonna be dry brushing that. We might do some dry brushing on the wraps around the ankles and the wrists. And I'll explain what dry brushing is when we get there. Okay, that's one arm. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm looking at the miniature from one side, and I'm gonna highlight all the areas that I can see in this one side, and then I'll move it around and highlight the areas on the other side, so I don't lose perspective when I'm layering the paint. I think that might have been a little bit too... Okay. Gonna do the hands as well. I think the stream is flickering a little bit. Okay, so that's one layer. Going back to that mid-tone is already drying, very transparent. I like how it looks right now. The thing that I'm the most afraid of doing is the face. Face is gonna be a doozy. I'm gonna be very selective of what I do with the face. Let's see. So I definitely want to highlight details like this. Like the chin. It's gonna be a doozy. I want to highlight here, the eyebrows, the nose. The lips. Now right here in the dome, I'm just doing the part that is like sort of on the front of the face of the miniature, because the rest is going to be obscured by the barrel. That barrel there, it's going to be casting shadow on the face, so I'm not highlighting all of it. Same goes for this guy. Okay. The feet, I might just dry brush as well. I don't think I'm gonna be layering highlights on the feet. And now we can move to doing this level of highlight on the back. Now the back has a lot more texture, way more texture. And the technique is the same. Dilute our base coat quite a bit and go for individual group muscles. Okay, that's half of the back done. And we gotta do the other back, the other half of the back. So every time I go in with another brush stroke after refilling my paint, I'm always taking a little bit off the paintbrush on my finger. Because you're not a true painter if you don't get paint on your body. That sounded weird. I mean, if after a paint job you're not full of paint yourself, then did you really paint at all? But in all seriousness, the reason why I take a little bit of paint off of my brush is that it doesn't go as hard on the miniature, because we want to achieve a smooth transition as much as possible. And I'm just like coming to this technical strategies or solutions, or what's the best word, techniques, I guess. I'm only coming up with these techniques as I go, and I look at the miniature and see like, oh, maybe here like the base coat went a little bit too hard, so maybe I need to make sure that I don't have that much paint, undiluted paint on my brush. So I want to make sure to take a little bit of paint off next time, for example. And that way I can ensure that I'm getting the desired effect. How do I know if I'm getting the desired effect? If by the time it dries, then it looks sort of like a smooth transition. When I started painting miniatures, I loved, more so than painting, you know, like player characters and humanoid medium creatures, like say for example an elf or a barbarian, or you know, like a specific kind of playable race in D&D. I was more interested in monsters and creatures and dragons and that kind of stuff. Not only because they look cool, but also they're easier to paint to an extent. Because those miniatures, the creature miniatures, they have a lot of detail that is easier to highlight with a dry brush or by dry brushing. Like dragons are full of scales, the beholder has like spikes and stuff. So it really makes the job of highlighting easy and not daunting at all. I have to feather out this highlight over here. Because when you're dry brushing, you're essentially just scraping the miniature with dry paint, and only certain parts of the miniature will catch that paint, right? The rest of the miniature will not. And you don't need to be as precise and as technical when you're dry brushing a miniature. You can just be quick and dirty with it, and it turns out fine. It looks pretty good. And I always stray away from miniatures like this that don't have a lot of like sharp edges, because dry brushing this would be a nightmare. Like it just wouldn't work, because it's too smooth, it has too many smooth surfaces, and dry brushing doesn't work on smooth surfaces. It had to be sharp edges, preferably. Of course, skilled painter can, you know, dry brush the hell out of a flat surface, because, you know, they're awesome, and I'm not that. But then in my mini painting journey, eventually I reached a point where I was like, I want my miniatures to say a little bit more, to be more in depth, I guess. I don't want to just have, like, I want them to look cool and to show that some work went into it. And the logical next step, it's having gray highlights that are precisely made and not just dry brushing everything, you know? And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get the hang of layering. That looks a little wonky, but that's okay. Now, I'm not just trying to do everything perfectly, just so that it looks cool. That's all I care about. Now, I'm having trouble seeing if I highlighted some of this stuff, and that could either be a really good thing, because it's like I made that transition so seamless that I can't even tell if it's highlighted or not. Or it could not be good because I'm just having trouble looking at my miniature because of the lights that I have in front of me. Yeah, the hands I'm gonna dry brush, but I'll do that afterwards. I'm not gonna do that right now. Okay, now for the legs and the butt cheeks. Now you might be thinking, okay, so if some of this stuff is obscured by another thing, like the butt cheek with the loincloth, for example, then why am I taking the trouble of highlighting it? It's going to be in shadow. It doesn't make sense for it to be a highlight. The reason why is because remember that this is our base coat tone, right? So this is our, let's call it a mid-tone, the stuff that is not necessarily shadowed, or the natural color of our miniature, right? The problem is that when we washed it to make sure that all the deepest recesses are as dark as they can be, we also darkened everything else, right? So now we have to take our miniature back to the previous step, which was our mid-tone of the base coat. So even though something is technically in shadow, that doesn't mean that we need to make it as dark as it would be if it was like a deep recess or a crack or something where the wash would deposit, right? I'm gonna do here the ankles, just a little triangle. That doesn't mean that we're gonna be highlighting all of it with all the next extra steps, right? We just wanna get it back to our original mid-tone. Once we move out from the mid-tone and start going to higher and higher levels of highlight, then we're not gonna be touching those surfaces. Okay. I'm not even gonna worry with that part over there because I can't even reach it. And now we go for against the ankles and the heels. Just a little bit right there. And a little bit right there. Okay, and that's our first level of highlight. We're gonna give that a little bit of time to dry. But in the meantime, I am going to be preparing our next level of highlight. Let's see. So, one way we can prepare our highlights. I think I may be needing a little bit more water here, but that's okay. Ooh. Okay, let's see. Maybe we can return some of this water back to the palette, maybe, hopefully. This might be a complete disaster. Just a tiny little bit of water. Okay. So, this little splotch of paint that I have right here, this is full on, no other mixture of that color, right? So if we look at it in a mixture of, let's say, 4 parts highlight or 4 parts paint, that will be the same as having just 4 dots or 4 drops of that paint. If we get these 4 drops of paint, if I were to put another one and just mix it all up, what we're gonna get is just this unadulterated skin tone, right? Heavy skin tone, which is this bottle of paint. Now, in order to build to our next highlight, we're gonna make it a mix of 3-to-1 instead of 4 full parts of that same color. We're gonna be doing a 3-to-1 mix. So we're gonna add a little drop right here. If my paint decides to, it might be clogged for some reason. Yeah. Hello. We might need to do some surgery here. Let me see, 1 second. I don't know why you're the way that you are. It's never happened to me before with these paints. Oh, here we go. So now we're adding a mixture of 3 parts heavy skin tone and 1 part bone white. And we're gonna mix that up for our next layer of highlight. We can mix it with this one. We just get water up in this brush. Alright. Okay. And let's mix this up. Make sure that it's well mixed. Okay. So now here we have our next highlight, our next level of highlight. Let's put this back over here. Grab our miniature, grab our brush. And now, once we move to this next level of highlight, we want to cover less surface than we were doing before. And that's why it's called layering, because essentially we're going to be building a pyramid of color. So we're just going to be focusing on where most of the light would hit and cover less and less surface area. Now here I'm doing a lot of horizontal motions in this part of the miniature, and that is because of the way these muscles are pulling towards each other or away from each other. So that's why I'm making like horizontal lines in each direction. And then here we just cover the highest edges of this texture here, and make sure not to obscure the previous layer of highlight completely. We just want to build on top of it. So here we do another layer, smaller than the one that came before. Okay. Now here in these areas that are like underneath, I'm gonna do very little highlighting, because those are the parts that are the most obscured by the pecs in this case. So just very few highlights there. Same over here. I'm just gonna focus where I see the light hitting the most. Okay. So yeah, I'm just making circles on top of other circles, essentially, to make that smooth transition between layers as much as possible. Now keep in mind, this is just an experiment. I'm not claiming to be an expert at this. I'm just covering smaller and smaller chunks. Okay, that's another level of highlight on most of it. We just need to do a little bit more on the face. Or faces in this case. Just a little bit more on the dome. And over here. On the chin. The nose. Cheekbone. Make it like a triangle here. And then a little bit more over here. Okay. I'm gonna try to find that cheek right there. Perfect. And then a little over here. And a little bit on this side of the chin. And that's another level of highlight. So, just as we did before, I'm gonna prepare another level of highlight. This one is going to be equal parts skin tone and equal parts bone white. I don't know why it's clogging up so much. See, I have a needle right here. That'll help. Okay, perfect. There we go. So equal parts bone white, equal parts heavy skin tone. And I mix that up. Add a little bit of water maybe to the mix. Yep. That's going to be our next highlight. And each layer of highlight becomes a little bit easier than the next, because we are highlighting less and less surface. Now it is looking a bit patchy, but that's okay. We're here to learn. Okay. Again, we're trying to be a bit more selective on when we're putting these highlights. See, I should probably move this out of the way. Now here we can be a little bit more selective about where we're putting our highlights. So if we miss some spots where we didn't highlight, then that's okay, because I'm focusing right now on the stuff that is the most visible. So if there's something that I forgot to highlight because I didn't see it, then it would make sense that that wouldn't be highlighted because it's not as visible to the light, right? Okay. Then again, we finish with the face. There's another level of highlight done. Let's prepare another mix. Now this one is going to be 3 parts, 1 white, 1 part skin tone. 1, 2, 3. Grab a little water and mix this up. Okay, that's our next highlight. And again, we're going to be covering less and less surface area the more we highlight. Only highlighting the brightest spots, or the spots that are more towards the light. Making sure to highlight less and less the lighter we go. Okay. And then our next level of highlight would just be pure white. Well, not pure white, pure bone white, rather. And those are going to be reserved for the very sharpest and raised edges of the Mini, and nothing more. Like here, here, tiny touch over here, and I'm going to do the noses, the brows, ears, a tiny touch over here, tiny touch over here. Very small. I think that went on a little bit too thick there. Okay, and that's all of our highlights on the skin. In some places it look very good, in some places it doesn't. But I'm happy with the result. Oh, another thing I'm going to highlight right here. It's gonna be these bits of bone. And here I'm not doing layer, I'm just like I'm just gonna highlight a little bit here to convey that that's what that is. And I'm gonna highlight that one later. Okay. So we're going to do some dry brushing now, and for that I'm going to be using this dry brush. So this one's from Citadel, and the reason why this is a dry brush, you can see how the bristles are like very thick and like flat. They're not like what you would see on another kind of brush, and these come in different shapes and sizes, but like for example, I have another dry brush here from Citadel. It's the same thing. They're like very thick bristles and flat. And the whole reason why that is because once you're gonna start dry brushing, you want to make sure you're going flat on the surface that you're gonna be dry brushing, and only the surfaces that are raised are gonna be catching the highlight. So we're gonna be working on this, and if I'm not mistaken, what we used here was Beastie Brown. So we're going to dry brush some of that Beastie Brown back, and we're going to do sort of a layering of dry brushing. Now here's what you want to do when you dry brush. This is how it works. I'm gonna put a piece of paper down here. So you're gonna load up your brush with paint, and you're gonna wipe most of it off on a paper towel so that there's barely anything on there. And then you're gonna be doing passes on the raised edges of the miniature, and only the raised edges are gonna catch the paint. So you can go like this, and that's one way to start dry brushing your mini. Now we want to be careful not to dry brush on the stuff that we already worked on. But we just want to give back a little bit of that original brown to the miniature. Right now it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but as we start layering more and more dry brushes, you'll see what I'm doing. So you can see how that starts to lighten up a little bit. Let's see, turn up the brightness a little bit. That might be a bit too harsh. Let me see. I don't know. So again, I'm only gonna dry brush the stuff that will be catching the light. We're still highlighting, it's just a different technique of highlighting. And as we're doing this, we want to make sure not to mess up our previous work. Now, trust me, right now it doesn't look like much, but as we layer more layers of dry brush, it'll start looking like something. Now, when you're dry brushing, you want to go against the grain, against the edges of the miniature. You don't want to go along it, because otherwise you're not really doing much. You're just covering up your wash at that point. Okay, so that's one pass. Now I'm gonna do the same thing that we did before, where I'm going to start layering different kinds of paint. Now you could or sorry, I said layering, I meant mixing. You could go for like just white to lighten your hue, your paint, your color. But in this case, I'm gonna go with a lighter brown, different kind of hue of brown, and I'm going to layer towards that. So here I'm mixing equal amounts of pasty brown and leather brown, because we are working with leather. Leather wraps. Now here I'm not going for that much of a smooth transition as I was going for like the muscles, because like we said, dry brushing is quick and dirty. Now you want to make sure you get a lot of the paint off of the paintbrush while you're doing this. Otherwise you'll be over brushing your miniature, which I just did right there. Yeah, there's a lot of paint still there. I just want to do that. Highlight this slits. Now, how many levels of highlights? It's really up to you. At one point you have to just call the miniature done, you know, call it quits. But that's really up to you. How many levels of highlight? You can go to infinity on how much highlights you want to put on your miniature. Did I do the wraps on the hands? I don't think I did. Now when you're dry brushing, you can just skip the whole layering part altogether and just go for your lightest tone. But I want to challenge myself and be a little bit more meticulous with the way I apply my dry brushes. Now I'm not going to be doing as many levels as we did with the other stuff, because like I said, I'm not interested so much in a smooth transition. I just want to get the color in there. Right? And now we go for a final pass, which just straight up out of the bottle, leather brown. let's make sure that there's no more of that dark brown in here. Go for the leather brown. Okay. Now, that's pretty much it when it comes to that. Loincloth, and just want to make sure I get all of this paint off of the brush. I really don't like wetting my my dry brush, but since I'm gonna be switching paints, I really want to clean it off and not have that brown in there. You just gotta make sure that when you're dry brushing that your brush is dry. Otherwise it's not gonna work. It's gonna be more of an over brush than a dry brush, and you're just gonna be slapping more paint than you intend to. Okay. So I'm gonna go with the highest level of highlight that we use for the skin, and I'm going to highlight the hands. Swipe as much of it as possible, then highlight the hands. A quick dry brush there. Quick dry brush there. I don't think there was anything else that I wanted to dry brush with the skin tone. Okay, now let's go for, oh my god, paint it. Hold on, there's leather brown all over the place. This didn't get in my pelican shirt. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go back to leather brown for the barrel. Again, we're dry brushing. And we want to go against the grain of the wood. Now, I'm debating, maybe I'll have to use the big brush for this. Okay. Just want to return that brown that we had used before to the miniature before we darken it down. Make sure not to hit the hands as much as possible. And now I am going to lighten up that leather brown with some white. Gonna get most of it off. I'm following the curvature of the barrel to determine where I'm going to put that highlight. I'm not putting it all over because the underside of the barrel will be darker, right? So I don't want to put any highlight on the stuff that would be the darkest on the barrel. Only doing the top and the edges on the side. Those edges right there. And these edges right here. Perfect. Okay. When it comes to the barrel, we could just leave it like that, but we're gonna go a step further and we're gonna dry brush some gunmetal. Now I'm kind of curious what's gonna happen with this color because I haven't used gunmetal in so long that I don't even know if the paint is usable at all. But we're gonna try. Again, we're gonna go back to our small dry brush, load it up with paint, and get most of it out. Okay, and I'm gonna go only for this stuff. Just to get some shine on it. I'm going more for an overbrush than a dry brush because I really want to get that metal in there. But I'm being very light with it, so that we still get some of that black coming through. And I'm doing all of it because all of it is metallic, but focusing more on the top. Okay, I think that's good. Now, the only two things that are missing in this miniature are the very fine details, like the face, the teeth, eyes. It's gonna be a little hard because this miniature is very, very small. Well, this one is a big miniature actually, but those details are very, very small. So, what do we want to do with the mounts? I'm gonna grab some black. I'm gonna try to get some black on the mouth of this guy right here. Should I do that? Okay, so I put some black on the inside of the mouth and a little red for the tongue. Because that guy has the mouth open very wide, so that's what you're gonna be seeing the most. The other guy, the inside of the mouth is very obscure, so I'm not even gonna worry about it because nobody's gonna be able to see in there. Okay, I'm going to go for some dead white for the... Oh, I forgot. I was gonna dry brush the feet. Forgot about that. One thing I wanted to dry brush was the feet. So, bone white. Gonna be using bone white for the teeth. Okay, now kids, don't try this at home. You can't even see me. Don't try this at home, but here's the thing. So, the miniature, especially this guy, right? The top row teeth, they are defined on the miniature, but the details are so small that any amount of paint is gonna obscure the detail. So I'm gonna try to add a little bit of that division between the teeth with a hobby knife. Now, this might be either the most genius thing I've ever done or the most stupid thing I've ever done, so don't try this at home. I'm just gonna try it out, see what happens. I mean, it sort of works. It's not ideal, but sort of works. Okay. Now, more highlights. I'm gonna highlight the bone right here. Okay. Now for the eyes, I want to go with yellow. And I think this is the brightest yellow that I have. This is some sun yellow. Now this is the moment of truth. Now, I could give the other guy a top row of teeth because in the illustration of the picture, the thing in the stuff, they do give him a row of teeth on the top. But I really like how it looks like that with the overbite and no row of teeth. So, at the end of the day, it's a matter of interpretation. Now, the eyes are usually the most important part of the miniature because it really informs like the character of the miniature, and that's what people are usually drawn to when they first look at the miniature. The first thing that they look for is the face, right? So the most important feature of the face when you're painting a miniature is going to be the eyes, and is usually the most difficult part because it's the smallest part of the miniature. So I'm really going to be focusing on this and try to make the best possible eyes that I can. So I'm gonna be moving this out of the way so I can really look closely into the miniature. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got eyes. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. But we got eyes on our miniature. Now the last thing to do is the base. And I've been kind of thinking how I want to do the base, and I'm thinking I want this base to be, or this guy to be like in a grassland. So I am going to paint it brown, leather brown, and then I'm going to highlight some green onto it. I think that's gonna be the plan here. Okay, now again, we want to be careful not to mess up our previous work. Now I am getting a little bit of paint on the inside of the foot. Paint, sorry, not paint. That's okay. Because this is dirt, so it's like he's burying his feet on the dirt. Sometimes you have to come up with excuses for your mistakes. Or as I call them, justifications for your paintwork. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a layer of this because at the end of the day I don't need it to be brown. And I'm thinking of doing something kinda cookie with it. I gotta say, I really don't like how the highlight on the face turned out. But I don't know. You live and you learn, you know? I see it now as like, eesh, the highlight really sucks. And I don't feel like going back and fixing it. So I bought this set of Vallejo washes, and I tried them out, and I didn't really like them. Especially this green. I think I tried it out, and I really didn't like it at all. I'm curious to see if there's any redemption for this green. So, since I want to make this like grassland, I'm gonna try to wash that with this green. But we have to wait for that base coat on the base to dry before we do any washing. Still a little wet. So, while we wait for that base to dry a little bit, I want to talk about stuff going on with the channel, both on Twitch and on YouTube. I'm trying to balance, you know, work and family relationships with streaming and making content, because I really want to get back on the horse and making content more often, and better content. And I'm trying to give myself a schedule, because my work schedule like shifts around a lot, but it's usually like I don't have a set amount, or I don't have set days off. They could be anywhere during the week, but I usually work in the mornings, therefore I can stream in the afternoons. But I'm also busy with other stuff, with family, relationships, and that kind of stuff. And so I want to give myself 2 afternoons of the week to stream. I have said in the previous stream that I was going to do, I think it was Tuesdays and Fridays, I think. But I might change that to, instead of Tuesdays and Fridays, I might change that to Mondays and Thursdays. That's what I'm thinking. And that's for streaming. And aside from that, if I get any other like small pocket of time where I can record for YouTube specifically, then I'll do that, and I'll upload when I can. Of course, anything that I stream, I always upload the VODs to YouTube as well. But when it comes to streaming, for a streaming schedule for people to be here live, I'm gonna try my best to do either Tuesdays and Fridays, or Mondays and Thursdays. Tuesday, Fridays, Monday, Thursday. Yeah. So I don't want to set it in stone right now. I want to see what works for me. Like which schedule helps me be the most consistent that I can. And once I find out which schedule that is, whether Tuesdays and Fridays or Mondays and Thursdays, then that'll be the schedule. Now for these miniature painting videos, I might scratch the idea of doing it live, because it really takes a lot of time and there's a lot of like concentrating. There's a lot of me like being quiet for long periods of time because I'm really concentrating on the paint job and that kind of stuff. So I might not do it live because I don't think it's very entertaining, because I'm concentrating so hard that I'm not really like commentating on what I'm doing or commenting on what I'm doing. So I think this is best suited for a recorded format than for a live stream format. But of course, you can also let me know if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, if it's something that you would like to see a little bit more edited and not have to see it live while I'm like completely quiet and going through stuff. Or if you would rather just catch the streams live, you can also let me know if you want to see it live stream rather than just record it. You can also like weigh in on what you would prefer to see. But I'm thinking, just with having these 2 videos that I've done so far live streamed, that maybe it lends itself better to be recorded and uploaded to YouTube rather than to be live streamed on Twitch. So that's what I'm thinking. For live streaming purposes, I might just stick to like video game stuff. Unless another idea comes around and I decide to stream something else. I would love to do like a D&D live stream. I would love to do something like that. I want to get back into Dungeons and Dragons, and if I find like a group of friends or online or something that I can live stream with, that would be amazing. But for now, I think I'm gonna stick to live streaming video games and then recording other kinds of content for YouTube exclusively. And I have a few ideas of what I want to live stream when it comes to video games. For those of you who don't know, when I started creating content semi-consistently, I started with Resident Evil Village on my Twitch channel when I was like learning how to do this whole thing. And at that time, that was like in the middle of the pandemic, I think. Or like towards the start of the pandemic, that I started live streaming, and I started live streaming Resident Evil Village, and everything that I live stream at that point was in Spanish, because I was like, okay, it's my native language and I think I can express myself better in Spanish than I can do in English. And so I have Resident Evil Village on my YouTube channel in Spanish. But the funny thing is that since I was still learning how to stream and how to set up everything properly, and I didn't have like the best equipment at that point, there's a lot of episodes that like don't really work. That something went down with the audio, or my microphone wasn't working, or the recording got damaged, or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that happened like that at the beginning of my live streaming career, because I don't really have a career. And so I was thinking, okay, Halloween is coming up, and the first thing that I ever live streamed and ever recorded, well, not ever recorded, but the first thing I ever live streamed was Resident Evil, and it'll be fun now that we're coming up on Halloween to go back to Resident Evil and do Resident Evil 7. So I'm thinking next week, whether on Monday, on Tuesday, I still yet to be determined, I might start recording, live streaming Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I think it'll be a fun callback to, the beginnings of my channel. Of course, I'm going to do it in English. The reason why I decided to live stream in English rather than in Spanish is because I feel like I can reach more people that way. you know, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking Twitch streamers and YouTubers that they have their large audiences and they're huge creators and stuff like that, but I think you can always have more reach if you live stream in English, so that's why I decided to switch languages a little bit. What else? Of course, we're gonna go back to Five Nights at Freddy's. We're going to go back to SCP Containment Bridge and, you know, Phasmophobia. We're still gonna be doing the spooky stuff because that's the thing that I like the most, and that's the thing that people like to watch the most, I've noticed. And here and there we might do some Star Wars and any other thing that, you know, I fancy live streaming and that people might want to watch. Okay, I think this is pretty dry at this point. So that's kind of like the state of things, state of the channel so far. Now, with everything that I just mentioned, I would love to know your thoughts. What do you want to see? What do you want to watch? Where and when? Any and all recommendations are welcome in the comment section below, or if you're in chat, you can also type in chat on Twitch and it'll appear either here or there, I don't know. Underneath my camera, you can see there's a little box. That's where all chat messages appear during the live stream, so feel free to leave your suggestions. Okay, so I'm loading some of this Vallejo green wash on my palette, and I'm gonna wash that dirt and see what comes from it. Now, what I don't like about Vallejo washes is that they go on pretty thick. Maybe I should add some water to it because they go pretty thick. I'll try to dilute that a little bit. And to me, they feel like milky in a way, if that makes any sense. I just want to give the illusion that there is grass here, that there's green here. That's why I'm using this color for a wash. This is all experimental. I mean, it's not the greatest. But I guess it's not horrible either. So we're gonna wait for that to dry. So yeah, I don't know. Vallejo washes, to me they just feel like very milky, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to describe it. We're gonna let that dry a little bit. I have it against the fan. And then I'm thinking I'm going to dry brush it with some green. Now, my greens have been a little neglected for a while. I don't use green very often. Warpstone Glow. I don't know what this is. I don't even remember this paint. I have some Vallejo green. I have Goblin Green, I have Dark Green, and I have some extra opaque greens as well. But I might go for this one. Like this. I don't know. We'll see. I think this is way too dark for that. Maybe some Goblin Green will be good. I'm gonna be fiercely shaking this one because this is the one. Like, the thing with having, like, not using your paints very often is that they separate, like the medium and the, I don't know, like the what's the name? I'm struggling to remember the name. Like, you can see here how is one color on the top, one color on the bottom. That's no bueno. The paint separates the bigger particles from the smaller particles, like the pigments from the medium, they separate. And instead of being just an one solid color, then you're gonna have not the best mix. So I can see like a mix here of like green and blue, which is kind of weird. So gotta mix it as most as possible. That really looks weird on camera. I mean, I could use this one. Mood green. That one. Could use that one if all else fails. Still need that wash to dry off a little bit. And we also need to dry our dry brush. So, regarding what I was talking about, I would really appreciate if you guys would sound off in the comments and let me know. As always, remember that I live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Edubrasal. All my links are in the description of the video if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube. I really appreciate if you head on over to Twitch and give me a follow. We're still sitting on 55 subscribers, so we reached our goal of 50 followers. We need to get more people watching so that I can get affiliated on Twitch, and then that way we can have subscribers and I can, you know, hopefully do this a little bit more consistently. you know. I love this for the love of the game, or I do this for the love of the game. I love doing this kind of stuff. But it'd be kind of nice if I could actually like turn this hobby into something that I can, you know, do a little bit more productively, if you know what I mean. I'm not expecting to be the next Markiplier or PewDiePie or anything like that. But I really care about the content that I put out there, and it'd be nice if, you know, I could grow this more and more, and I could do this a little bit more consistently. So just remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell, comment, do all that good stuff that lets YouTube know that people are interested in this content, and hopefully it'll reach more people. And also make sure to head on over to Twitch, follow me there, you know, be here for the live streams. If you follow me, then your name will appear on that little ribbon down there where all the name of the latest followers are. And if you sound off in chat, then your messages will appear down there as well. And there's all other links, like, you know, links to my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, my TikTok, where I, you know, post like shorter videos and highlights of the stream, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going around, and I would appreciate if people were here for it. Okay, I think this is pretty much dry, so let's dry brush. This is not the color that I wanted. That is the wash. Dry brush this, what I want. Okay. Dry brush the hell out of this base. I'm overbrushing it more than anything. Okay, I think that's good enough. So the reason why I base coated it with the brown and dry brush with the green is because I really want that brown to show there, to make it seem like, you know, there's grass that just like is missing because of this guy's footsteps, you know, because he is a giant or a large fellow, not necessarily a giant but a large fellow, because if we compare the sizes, let's see, these two guys, yeah, still bigger than a, you know, PC character, but not as large as a giant. And that's pretty much our miniature completed. The only thing that we need to do is glue it to the base, which I'm gonna do later. You know, they give you like a plastic clear base that you can glue on the thing, but I'm gonna do that later. And the other thing too is I like to protect my miniatures. Sorry. I like to protect my miniatures so that the paint doesn't strip when people are handling it. So I'm gonna be coating this whole thing with matte varnish by Vallejo. this stuff that you can find either on Amazon or on hobby stores, you know. This is not Vallejo, sorry, this is Liquitex. Vallejo has their own brand of varnish and stuff. So usually for stuff that are like glossy, shiny, and that kind of stuff, I'll use gloss varnish. That one's matte, so the miniature will end up looking kind of muted. If you want to do something like a sword or a spell effect or something that you want shiny, then you can use this gloss varnish that makes it a little bit shinier at the end, and it'll protect your paint. This one is by Vallejo. And that's pretty much our boy done. Our let's see, highlights. You know, the reason why I bought this model specifically is because I wanted to practice this whole highlighting stuff. I don't really like how it turned out in the end. I think the transitions could be way smoother, but I mean, the whole reason why I bought this was to practice, right? And this is a perfect model to practice that kind of stuff, and I'm really glad that I did, because it really, there are some places that work for me, and there are some places that don't really work. I think there's a lot of like contrast in between layers. I need to find a way to like blend that better. But overall, I'm happy that I did this. I'm happy that I challenged myself, and that's the biggest takeaway that I can, you know, take from this, and that I hope people will take from this video, is just challenge yourself, you know. Challenge yourself to do more stuff that you're not comfortable with in your painting. If it is dry brushing, then try more dry brushing. If it is layering, try more layering. If it is wet blending, try wet blending. You know, challenge yourself to do the stuff that seems the most intimidating and hard to do, right? But I'm happy that I did this. Overall, it doesn't look bad. It's not the result that I was expecting, but like I said, you live and you learn, and the more you practice, the better the end result will be, you know. Maybe I could have done without that last layer that I added on top of it, but you know, it's just a matter of, like I said, doing it more and more and more till you reach perfection. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Share with your friends. If there's somebody that, you know, is into miniature painting, you can show them these videos, and I sort of, you know, do my best to explain what I'm doing. And if you want to see more like gaming content and all that kind of stuff, let me know, and head on over to twitch.tv/Edubrasal and follow me there. Your name will appear down here, and all your messages in chat will appear also down there in the box. And that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you as always so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Zombie apocalypse.